Hello, everyone. I'm Patty. Welcome to another episode of Speaking Truth to Goodness. Today, we embark on a reflective journey with Jerry sharing insights on the yugas and our collective emotional resilience needed to foster change. We delve into the essence of kindness as the core of activism, challenge and embrace the metaphors that guide us, and Michaela brings us back to the heart of transformational change through play, self-care, and interpersonal dynamics. As we navigate through discussions on current electoral politics and the potential for a city council that reflects Portland, we ponder the possibilities of moving toward a world that mirrors the will of its people. Stay tuned, and don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and follow us on Instagram for more thought-provoking discussions. Here it is.
Have I talked about yugas on the podcast yet?
Yugas?
Yugas, no. The Hindus divide time into 4 yugas, and the Hindu concept of time is vast. I mean, we can't even imagine. But they say it started with the golden yuga, silver, bronze, iron, and each yuga of infinite time moves further away from the divine emanation. So in the Iron Yuga, where we are now, we're the furthest from the sort of divine emanation, the Big Bang, the Ein Sof, whatever. And that makes it tough. In other words, and one of the ways I can think about it is the available spiritual energy is diluted as time unfolds until it has to resolve itself and start again. I don't know how that happens. But I just feel like, just in my lifetime, I always look back to, correctly or incorrectly, as the Depression and the Second World War as sort of a Camelot period. Why? Because people worked together because they had to survive. They had to take care of each other.
Also, that was a time when the highest tax bracket was 90%.
Yeah.
And so people didn't have runaway billions like they do now, and that made a difference.
In the big economic expansion after the war, all classes rose on the same sort of curve. And
if you were white.
Yeah. Now it's just a yawning alligator mouth with poor people ready to be dissolved. So, I mean, yugas is a kind of strange way to go out talking about political organizing, but to me, it's a metaphor. It's a metaphor that explains we're living in a toxic time. We're living in a very depleted spiritual and physical world. And that makes everything we do difficult and important. And to be realistic, it means we're not going to get to 3% of the population anytime soon. It's going to take more time. And I don't want to say, I started to say smarter. No, it's not, we're smart enough. We need to get emotionally intact enough. That's the piece that could help us hold together in the way that we need to hold together. And I don't think that has to be sectarian in any way. In fact, it probably can't be. But we're not just animals. We're animals with some kind of consciousness that even science is discovering, right? And maybe even plants. Well, we know about plants. You know about plants. But we're connected. Everything is connected. We need to live in those connections and honor them. And I come back, Patty, to that really simple 3-minute piece that you wrote and read at the Zenith demonstration. It's like scale is actually not as relevant as it seems. Small change in one person has as much important as something seemingly much, much larger. It all has to happen simultaneously. Harriet Tubman, what did Harriet Tubman say? Oh, I don't know. You set a people free one soul at a time. It was true then, it's true now. So one part of our work is setting souls free by loving human beings, animals, plants, whatever you want to love, fine with me, honoring them, and putting some level of sustaining energy into that interaction. So I go for, like, let's say I've been an activist for 60 years, time off for taking care of Lee and so on, but I come down to really simple things. All the theory that I read, all the kind of like, I was always somewhat resistant to theory and prone to practice in that era, and it comes down to simple things like the sign in Alder Commons, Black Lives Matter, women's rights are human rights. The last thing now is kindness is everything. I thought, holy shit, 60 years, and my politics comes down to 3 words. Kindness is everything.
Unfortunately, you can't legislate love.
No. So that's where I sit after 60 years of often very intensely grappling with speaking the truth to power. Lee once said that she didn't think I would ever join a group unless I was the leader of it. And I said, that's entirely untrue, but I'm never going to join a group that has bad leadership. Right, well, she didn't understand everything about me, just most things. So I'm always hopeful, even when I have, as I have had the last week, some really difficult days. I'm maybe hopeless about myself from time to time, but I'm not hopeless about our world, our life, and the possibility, ever. And it's just interesting to me. I have every reason in the world to be hopeless. I know way too much about what's wrong, but I'm not.
Can I add on to that? Can I add on to that?
Absolutely.
I actually wanted to push back on the Iron Yuga thing a little bit, because I am given to understand, I will say, that we actually humans have better conditions now than we have for most of human history. The per capita starvation rate of humans is the lowest it's ever been, right? I mean, this is a true thing. We aren't done. Obviously, there are people starving. There are people obviously nutritionally deficient in this country because of how capitalism has ruined that thing we call food.
Yeah.
So there are problems, but women's rights are better around the world today than in human history, and more people are being fed and housed than ever before in human history.
But that's human history.
Well, I know, but isn't that what we're talking about?
No.
Because why would we save the planet if it wasn't for the humans?
No. I mean, all I'm saying is yugas are so vast that there have probably been a dozen cycles of death and rebirth.
Yeah, it's true.
But what I took away from that is, it's like the almost trite yin-yang symbol, where it's a penetration of the dark and the light and the light and the dark.
Mm-hmm.
So just because it's dark does not mean that the light can't thrive in that darkness.
Yeah. And
maybe is clearer because of the darkness. I mean, but all I'm saying is I think we live in a truly difficult world, and for the young people, 2 of whom you are brilliantly raising, making me happy every time I see them, it's just tough. And I think, so again, there's this whole thing about privilege. For the Brahmins in India, things have been good for a long time. That's the ruling class, right? But they had more access to spiritual resources than the people who were, ground down in poverty and isolation. So maybe I won't use that on you. I retract.
No, it's okay. It can stand.
No, I'm done with it. I'm not going to use it again.
I guess I'm just looking at it as I don't want to come to each day being like, well, the world is just crap and it's the worst and everything's going to burn. I mean, I know that's true, climate change wise.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
realize that, but I also
But we
think,
don't live that way.
okay, but when has it been? Was there a golden era when everybody was doing well and everything? Like, I don't think so, right? Like, we might actually be at a point where humans are doing better than they've ever done, and yet we can see what more we can do.
I couldn't go that far.
That's okay.
I couldn't go that far. I think there is an absence of health of every kind, significantly worse than the Depression, significantly worse than. And again, human history is fairly short when you get right down to it. Because you have little dinosaurs running around your house now that they have made themselves. I think what all I'm trying to say by that is light penetrates darkness. There's a Wendell Berry quote, a picture of a card over there where I just leave things randomly. When in the dark, make me one with the darkness. When I'm in the light, make me one with the light. There's a lot of darkness and there's a lot of light. Speaking the truth to goodness generates light. Living with intention generates light.
Except we have to accept the dark to live in the light.
Well, yeah, and
If we're in resistance against the dark, we're not going to find the light.
No, what Billy Kwan says, who? In the movie The Year of Living Dangerously, the Linda Hunt character, extraordinary. What she says, a woman playing the role of a man, we add our light to the sum of light. And that has carried me through. I'm trying to add my light to the sum of light. If I do that, that's my minimum revolutionary program. Adding my light to the sum of light. Everything else is icing on the existential cake.
I like your way of saying it. I think I always say, if you put more good in the world is more good.
Yeah.
Yeah, same thing.
Grammatically challenged a little bit, but we'll go with it.
That's fine.
The world is more good. No, I can't go there.
It's gooder.
More gooder.
But I'm stunned at the conversations we get to have. Right? And they're not just words. We're being changed by the conversations. Our understanding of ourselves, each other, collective, is deepening.
You talk in these conversations like you've had these kinds of conversations many times before we started this.
I find this one unique because it's never had a form of, we're allegedly trying to do a podcast.
Yeah.
I've had, how many conversations have I had in my life? A lot. But I rarely sit down with people I love and try to examine concrete issues in the way that we are doing this conversation. So it's qualitatively different. I sit down with lots of people I love. I have conversations with them. But this is focused in a way, in a very diffuse way, by our intention of speaking the truth to goodness, creating a podcast, and trying to come up with something that is useful because it breaks the mold of how we know. So it's an epistemological great leap forward. See, I don't use words like epistemological. I said it, but I don't really use that kind of language. It's bad language. Don't make a face at me. What were you doing?
7 syllables.
7 syllables.
7 syllables, I checked.
Oh, man. You are so mean. And what I apologized for it. I apologized. Patty.
I know.
You were mean. You were so mean to me.
I'm only going after you because you go after me about 5-syllable ones. So,
Yeah, but when I
Sleep
use it,
in the bed you made there,
it's-
Jerry.
It's news. When you use it, it's just Patty.
What I'm coming away with is trying to anticipate how we're going to use what we've said today for the next conversation, and that is, how do we use the ways in which we take care of ourselves and play to drive transformational change at the systemic level, as a collective.
Interesting. You should ask that question, because I can't help but notice that the next title in the early set outline is Building Relationships and Practicing Change.
There you go.
I mean, that's kind of in line. But because everything we're saying keeps coming back to person is the change.
It's funny, though, because this is a slightly parallel, but it's like we're talking about the same process we started when talking about zany bits, of how you start with sort of a chaos, a soup of ideas, and then they sort themselves out.
But what I want to get to,
Yep.
and I don't know if we can, because I've been working on this for years, is how do we go from the person to person, from that to citizens, wait a minute, citizens as a group in relation to the systems we're trying to change.
Ooh.
In relationship to?
The systems we're trying to change.
Yeah.
That is a great thought, because it's true. I think we often end up with like, well, that's how that works. And all of a sudden we act like we can't change our institutions and our systems. It's like, well, hi, we made them.
Well, it's very interesting because I think it's going to be, I've never looked forward to elections with the level of enthusiasm, which is generally quite limited, for this reconfiguring of the city council. That we could actually come up with a representative city council, which we have never, ever, ever had, because it wasn't structured to allow that. So I think that we can change the city significantly based on who we choose to represent us. So that's a missing link. I mean, that's not going to change the national scene dramatically, though there'll be tendrils that go out. But to have a truly representative, fresh start in a way, you can reinvent city government. This city government desperately needs to be reinvented. And I think we will have an impact on these elections as climate activists, as XR.
But doesn't that bring up a good thought to what, Michaela, to what you're wanting to get at, is that because we're switching how our city is running, and we're moving to this city council model that might actually be more representative of what the people want.
To be less representative.
That means that there was someone or groups of someones who maybe they didn't understand, but they were able to do it. Yeah. They were able to go from a person to person to a, hey, let's get the citizens to work toward investing in and changing the system. And I don't know who did that or how they did it, but maybe they're onto something we could learn from. If you want to get concrete, I don't know.
I think there will be great candidates. I think there will be a lot of candidates because it's a fresh start, and each district will elect in an obscure way 4 representatives.
Well, ranked choice voting in general is I think a pretty big way to move into the future.
This is a little different than that.
It is. But I mean, there are ideas starting. So when you mentioned the idea, Michaela, of moving from one person listening to another person and having that shared humanity, it's that energy that I'm catching that you're thinking of. What if humans took that, like a group of citizens, maybe not even an official group, but the people were able to take that energy to our systems and acknowledge and acknowledge that it's made up of us anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that we shouldn't, well, anyway, I'm going to ramble too much. But so that's what I'm hearing you say. Can you give a example or a thought of like where you have dreamed of that taking place?
I'm thinking about how I described our Zany Bits session on creating this skit this past Monday, and the process that we used to come up with a skit. And it's there was a level of mutual respect, empathy, openness, to some extent restraint, and I mean by that restraining our egos. That is necessary in larger community processes where the stakes are bigger, where we are trying to act collectively among tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. How do you bring the same level of respect and empathy to that kind of endeavor? It gets squeezed time-wise, and we as a community of Portland, I don't think we know how to be sensitive and patient enough with each other at that scale to keep our egos out of it.
I would contend
It will
that
be a challenge.
our ego is a part of us that was a protector and that got very hurt. And it is still trying to protect us. But it's very guarded because of the hurt it's experienced. And so I feel like that becomes a wall toward our ability to look at a problem like fully open to what is, because it's so easy for so many to be stuck in the parts of themselves that need to protect and be safe
Right.
when they don't feel safe.
Right.
Right. And so, yeah, it poses a question that's like, okay, so we just need to heal the emotional traumas of every citizen? Maybe that is what we need to do. You know, if we're deciding that could be what's getting in the way of us caring for our fellow human. I don't know. I'm here for it. If what we need to build is some massive therapeutic ways of
Surely
playing
the
together.
doctor is in. We take a
Yeah, why not? Well, but even just acknowledging people's shared hurts and struggles, right? Because there's too much of American ideology that requires us to pretend like everything's fine and to be good, and the exceptionalism, right, top to bottom, that we think is real and isn't. I don't know. It's a little bit of disabusing ourselves of those harmful notions and accepting our grossness, our faults, our struggles. So why would we feel bad about it?
You can't. We're very quick. We want our solutions to be quick, as Americans, if I can generalize. But I think in general it is true that we have little historical memory or willingness to engage it, unlike Europe, for instance, where people know their history and it matters, and they have the experience of war to sort of make it real, whereas here it doesn't have that feeling. I'm just gonna dribble off into the distance. I think I'm needing a nap now. I'm old.
Yeah, that's the second time you've told us that you're ready to quit. I think we need to quit.
I'm quitting. You guys can go on. You don't need me.
I don't know if this is the right thing to end on, but I will just say that a lot of our discussion has been around the understanding of this younger generation coming up into their world. And the difference, this is maybe dumb, but the difference between children's shows when I was a kid, which were violent as hell, to today's children's shows, which I watched my children watch, like Strawberry Shortcake, where all these little fruit people, little fruit girls, had their own businesses and they helped each other and they talked about friendship. And, so that's not everything, obviously. But if we're looking to see, is change happening? I think change is happening. We couldn't have stopped it. And I do see that there's been positive inputs through at least some of the media today's kids have consumed that I think will put them in a place where they can see humanity as one family in a way that maybe we haven't yet. So for whatever that's worth, they're coming. I think they're coming.
Yeah. So we have to do two things. Find a way to, A, get out of the way while nurturing. Because I think, and I could be wrong, this could be my sort of ageist perspective, but I think, and when you're not, let's just say that these generations have not reached a point where they're not in leadership. Once you're in leadership, you have a whole different set of problems. You might have a skill set, but you're inheriting a world that these tools may not work on the nuts and bolts of what you need to dismantle. So we need to keep our tools ready. I mean, that's a very mixed metaphor. But I'm saying I agree with you. I don't understand it because I haven't had a young child in a very long time.
Well, I think we did it for today, huh?
It takes for me a lot of energy to engage at this level.
Yeah?
And since I don't sleep in general.
Do you sleep good on nights after we talk?
No, I'll take a nap now and then I won't sleep at all tonight because I had a nap.
And so we conclude our journey through this session, where we've traversed from ancient metaphors to the practicalities of nurturing the next generation of activists. Respect, empathy, and collective action emerged as themes central to scaling our impact and embracing a future that values kindness above all. As we discussed, the path to a better world is laden with challenges, but illuminated by the potential for genuine, empathetic connection and collective resilience. Let's carry forward the belief in our capacity to make a difference, one act of kindness at a time. Thank you for joining us on this exploratory dialogue. Remember to engage with our content through likes, comments, and subscriptions, and follow us on Instagram to be part of our evolving story. Until next time, let's keep speaking truth to goodness, because goodness is all around.